Hello, I'm a PS3 cat and welcome back to the video. So one of the most interesting relics of the old days of Minecraft is the furnace of minecart in my opinion. This is something that was added a really long time ago and barely had a use when it was first introduced and really doesn't have a use in modern day Minecraft. This is why the Pocket Edition, Windows 10 Edition and the new console versions are not including it into the game. However, if you play the PlayStation, the 360, the Wii U, any of the old versions of Minecraft, including the PC, you can actually still get furnace minecarts even though they don't have too much use as a practical item. However, they are kind of useful for buildings in this one particular case from a guy named SkyTim on Reddit, where you can actually use them to make a conveyor belt. I was mind blown by this. I was like, this is such a great build. However, trying to build it yourself is kind of tricky if you ever do decide to do that. So in today's video, I want to show one of the few builds you can only make on Minecraft PlayStation / the old Minecraft Xbox / Wii U / the Java version, because I think it's a great use of the furnace minecart, and it is kind of tricky because you can use it for a lot of different things. You can have factory conveyor belts or like a sushi belt. I want to show you how to make all those things in today's video. Hopefully you all do enjoy. So like the video if you do like it, because it helps out the channel, and listener, you do like these sorts of building tutorials. Again, this one seems like it's really basic, but it actually has a really common area that I learned something about minecarts and I went along with it, and maybe you will as well. So yeah, with that said, let's get straight into talking about what this exclusive last gen build is, because like I said, you saw it in the picture, you can see it right here. It's a conveyor belt system that you can use to represent either like a factory with things going around, or you can have like a sushi system or anything in between. Again, it really depends on how you want to look at this, but it looks something like this when you're done, and it's fairly simple to construct, but it's fairly tricky to get properly working, because if you try and get too many minecarts going on this thing, either one, what will happen is if you go anything beyond this, what will actually start to happen is the minecarts will back up on themselves, because if you get this many minecarts going around, they don't go around smoothly. There's always a point on your minecart somewhere. Sometimes it's over there, sometimes it's over here, where you'll notice they always pause for a second and they have to be knocked, or like there's a second delay. Like look over here, every single time it goes around, there's always a couple of pauses. Sometimes they even fly into this block right there for some reason, and yeah, the reason for that is not entirely obvious to everyone, and I want to talk about how you can avoid that in today's video. So let's get straight into talking about how you build this, because by the way, you're not just for fun. Let's show you what happens if you do place too many minecarts on here. It looks like it should just work perfectly fine, but once you put more than the right number on there, eventually that freeze there is going to cause a backup all the way around, and it's going to cause everything to go backwards. Again, we'll see that in a second. Oh no, we've already seen it right there. Everything's broken, no longer a conveyor belt. Well, that's whole ruined. So how do we stop that from happening? Well, having a consistent flow of things, and the simple answer to that is that the reason that's happening in that exact spot there, and the reason it's broken everything, oh, it's going the right way around, but just opposite now. The reason everything breaks just over here is because this is the edge of a chunk. I didn't know this until I made this video, but when you actually reach a chunk boundary, the minecarts have to unload for a second, load into the new chunk, and then do things over again, and this causes some issues, this causes some slowdown, and it makes things not look good, and it causes it to back up every now and then, like, just no apparently. So, yeah, basically, how do you prevent this? You want to build within one chunk area. So, I've actually laid out some chunks right here to make things easy, but if you want to find chunks in your Minecraft world, then all you have to do is get a map out where you have coordinates still, if you're on the old Minecraft console version, and you want to go to any number that's divisible by 16 on the x-axis. So, so divisible by 16 on the negative x-axis, so -1 to -16 to -17 to -32, those are all chunks. So this is the edge of a chunk right here at -16 to 16 blocks before this, which in this case, I believe is -1. That's from -15 to -0, and then it's from 1 to 16. So yeah, basically you want to do that, and if you do this, then you'll end up with chunk areas, which looks something like this, and yeah, basically if your number's divisible by 16, that's the edge of a chunk, so 16 is the edge of a chunk, 32 is, 160 is, just use a calculator, divide your coordinates by 16, and try and find your nearest chunk that evenly divides into that. So here is z16 for instance, and -x minus 16. So it should actually be x minus 15 to z16. This is the actual chunk boundary, because although most people don't get this, because most worlds don't have edges, on the console at least, this is the official edge of a chunk right here, because the negative boundaries go, basically 0 counts as -0 instead of regular 0. That sounds very confusing, but just trust me on that. So this is the actual edge of the chunk boundary, and that means that as long as we build our entire system within this area right here, or within one chunk in Minecraft, then the minecarts will go around smoothly. And I can prove that really quickly, just like this, except it'll be kind of tricky, but that's why when you build a tiny minecart system, everything goes smoothly, and when you have a big minecart system, things don't. As long as it's within one chunk, your roller coasters, your anything will work just fine, and will go around in a continuous loop. So now we've got that sorted, let's build the actual conveyor belt system itself, making sure to stay within our chunk boundary thing. So we just want to have ourselves a bunch of powered rails, so just powered rail, powered rail, powered rail. Every other block should be a powered rail, just like this, and we'll go all the way up to the very edge right here, place one there, and then we'll powered rail all the way back round. So you can make these bigger, you can make these smaller if you really want to, but for now, I think that's just good enough for me. Fill in the rest with regular rail slots. Again, you can have more of these or less of these. It really depends on speed or anything like that, but I can't tell there's too much benefit to having them all be powered rails, so this is the way I most prefer. And then you want to take the little slots in between, and you want to, of course, power them up. So we'll place some redstone torches in there. And then in every other slot, what you want to do is you want to grab yourself the minecart furnace, furnace and put them on the empty rails. So again, for now, we'll just leave them there because that's where we need them to be. But yeah, you just want to leave these on the empty rails, and then once we push them, they're going to go around in a really nice continuous circle. Again, because we're all within one chunk boundary, everything's going to go just smoothly, and that's wonderful. So you might want to have some, so first of all, how do we actually cover up the things? You do that by using grey carpet. Again, grey carpet blends the best. You might decide like grey carpet, it's better for your build, or black carpet makes a better conveyor belt, or anything like that, because, you know, the colors can be closer. But this grey carpet right here is just fine for me, and it might be fine for you too. So you want to cover up every rail just like this. Simple enough stuff. Again, we'll finish that off later. And then in the center, again, in the build that was shown on Reddit by SkyTerm, the best way to do it is to use the daylight sensor, and I really do kind of like that as a block, which again, it makes it look really factory-ish. But what you might want to do instead, you know, maybe it's your thing instead, is instead to actually go ahead and place cakes there, because if you place cakes there, it looks like it's a sushi place. Because I mean, my local sushi places sell cake. I don't know if that's everyone's, but still, it looks like a food conveyor belt system as opposed to a thing. But if you want to make it have the factory look, which is what we're going for today, then you want to place daylight sensors all along the top, just like this, in between each of them. And again, it also divides the conveyor belt, makes it look like it's going around a thing. I think it has a rather wonderful look. So it's kind of tricky because you have to like right click on top of all of them. Yeah, we do this just like this, and we'll end up with an entirely daylight sensored middle. Then you want to go around the edges, place anything you want here. Again, on the image, it was brick stairs. We'll just use andesite for here, for instance, and then we'll have like, you know, let's use quartz. Let's make it look extra fancy in between all of this. So we'll go ahead, we'll grab ourselves some quartz, and then of course, you know, the bit you're looking forward to, the big push is coming very soon. Don't you worry. But in the meantime, you're just going to grab yourself a bunch of quartz stairs, have them be upside down facing like this. Again, adds that slightly fancy layer to it all. And yeah, again, okay, so place these all around the edge, and then place your carpet down, and then what's going to happen is the big push is going to happen, and you'll have your conveyor belt system. So yeah, the interesting thing about this though is this number of minecarts looks like it should be perfect to have a consistent amount going around, but because this is all in one chunk, you can throw on even more minecarts to make it even bigger if you want to. So for now, let's just place all of these, so you know, minecarts are locked down, and also you can only see the tops of them. Then we'll just push very gently like this, and then that's going to start the chain reaction going, and eventually, again, it takes a little bit of time, but it's one chunk, so it'll work. You can see how you get yourself a really consistent train. They stay the right distance apart, which means you can easily just, every time it goes round, you can add a new block onto there if you want to. So, oh no, we're still getting the tiniest hold up right there, it seems. So this is actually what happens. I believe, no, this is still one chunk. So, yeah, this is actually something rather interesting that's happening just over here. What we're going to do to cut it off is just because, yeah, it seems like that's definitely not intentional. So what we're going to do is we're going to place a minecart rail here, and that's going to break everything at least a little bit, right? Oh no, we'll place a powered rail here, and then we'll... I guess we'll just remove these powered rails right here and here. Yeah, you can see it's like mostly going around, but we're still getting the big freeze here. And again, that's something to do with like chunk boundaries, or apparently just being close to them. It didn't happen in all my, okay, so it didn't happen in all my tests for this, which is why I'm so interested that it's just happening now. But as you can see, okay, so we're going to push them all the way back. Okay, just come on, just push them all the way back to make that finally link up properly over to there. Oh man, no, not to here, over to, okay, like that, there we go. So now, as you can see, things should work a little bit more consistently on a slightly smaller track, and there you can see, everything's working perfectly, there's no hold-ups. Again, exactly why this is, it's something to do with chunk boundaries, maybe like my one's all messed up or something, but it doesn't happen if you stay within one chunk just fine. Again, interestingly enough to me, that's how that works. So, yeah, that's it. That's how you make yourself a conveyor belt system. Now you have to do to make it actually look magical and work and stuff is cover the rest in grey carpet. But what you might want to do first, now it's a consistent speed, is add in some more minecarts so that like every time it goes round, it adds another minecart. This kind of like, again, keeps the consistent spacing between them all, means there's no gaps in it, and might be something you prefer. So we've pretty much reached it now. Yeah, I think that's, okay, and there's maybe one more minecart. Can you see the little gap there? Just in front of me, so we'll wait till it comes around again. But you just want to throw more minecarts down until you have a consistent spacing, and then you're kind of done with that. So I'm sure you can all do that. Everyone can work out the spacing of minecarts. Okay, there we go. We're pretty much good. Oh, no, we're still got a gap in there. But you can do very easily, just keep adding minecarts until you reach the gap. As long as you stay within one chunk like you've done here, then you can do that just fine. So now we've got all that going on, we can place our grey carpet above the top of them. If you don't know, you can place carpet on minecarts, even when there's people going through there, and it's entirely fine. But in this case, you're going to see how it cuts off 99% of the furnace minecart. Or like, you know, I guess 95 or something, but it cuts off the vast majority of the furnace minecart and then leaves just the very top visible. So just like this, you can see everything's fine. and we made everything work perfectly. So yeah, it all depends on how you get the initial push going on as to whether you're going to get delays or not. Again, sometimes it seems like it just happens here, but that's because of the spacing. But it is mostly to do with the chunk boundaries, and if you avoid that, then it doesn't have to unload and reload, and you can get this consistent kind of factory loadout. So yeah, if you want that, that's a thing you can do. Maybe don't try and get too greedy like I was just then, and that's another way you can kind of avoid things. But yeah, as long as you have minecarts underneath, you can place the rails here. As long as you have that, you can do your thing, and everything's just wonderful right here. So let's just place those along there, and as you can see from the top, all you can see is this. It looks like a conveyor belt system, or in my opinion, it looks a little bit more like a sushi delivery thing. So you can, like, again, place cakes in the middle instead. But that is a build you can only make on the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Wii U, Switch, Xbox 360, etc. versions of Minecraft, and I think it's kind of wonderful. So yeah, this is a build you can make, and I'd recommend you do make. In fact, make the most of your furnace minecarts, because you don't know how long they'll last, and it is a little bit ridiculous that, like, this is the only one use for it. It doesn't even use the fact that it's a furnace minecart 20 effect, but I still think it's wonderful, and I still think you should do it. So there you go, furnace minecart. There's your last use in Minecraft. Like this video if you did like it, because it helps out the channel a lot. Let us know you do enjoy these sorts of videos. Share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.